What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. If you're a long-time fan, welcome back. But if you haven't yet, please do me a favor. Subscribe and follow on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. It really helps us out. Share this episode and listen back to all the other episodes if you're a new listener. Appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you enjoy the show. Let's kick it off with our positive, motivational message of the week, and I'm going to take this from the great Bill Burr. It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And even if it isn't it easier to pretend like it's going to be and then deal with it when it's not? It seems like there's so much chaos happening. And it always seems like that. It always seems like there's so much going on in the world that is so out of our control. But yet it feels hopeless, or it feels scary. It feels like out of our control. And it is. It feels, it's like a feeling of dread and doom. You know what I mean? And it's constant. And the fact that so much of it is out of our control that we can't do anything about what's happening or what may not even be happening. It could just all be lies. It could all be fabrication. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you need to be able to control all of that. Or that you need to be able to do something to fix it. Or like everything is falling down around you. Just pretend like everything's all right. Because for the most part, everything is all right. And once it's not all right, then we can deal with it. But isn't it just easier going through life feeling good and feeling like things are going in a great direction? Because most likely, that's the case. You're getting bombarded by so much fear and dread and negativity that it brings you down to that level. So just move forward in life with a positive mindset, a positive outlook, and that's where it will take you. Then your life trajectory goes towards that. You don't get brought down, you get lifted up. And with that, we'll go ahead and take it into the very first episode of the year 2025. It's episode 233 of Life's a Garden. Hell yeah! Welcome to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. It is a new year, first episode of the new year. Studio is back, looking the way it always has, except now we got the Stone Cold belt sitting in the back, which is nice. God, it's relieving, honestly. Like, I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. But when it's over, and you could take a little bit of a breath, it's nice. It's a good reset. Really, it is. And it's a perfect way to, like, go right into that new year. It's like so much stuff happens in the holiday season. It's all congested. It's all crammed together. It's a little bit hectic at times. It's awesome at times. It's joyous at times. But it can be a little bit hectic. And once you kind of purge yourself of that, you go into the new year, and it's like a fresh start, which is kind of like the whole idea of the new year. You know what I mean? You get that fresh start. It's like a clean slate in a way, and it feels good. That's all I'm saying. I got all my Christmas lights taken down, got all my indoor Christmas trees, all that stuff. Did it all in one day. That was exhausting, but thank God, especially outside, especially the outdoor lights, because we've been getting our ass kicked with snow. The snow want to come around for Christmas. We didn't get a white Christmas this year, which felt odd. And honestly, I was driving around with the snow and seeing some of the Christmas lights out. And I was like, the snow makes Christmas lights 10 times better. I didn't remember because, I didn't have any reference point because we didn't have any snow this December. But some people left their lights on past Christmas. And it was like, dude, these look so much better with the snow. So, didn't get the white Christmas, but hey, the snow wasn't too far behind. And it's paying back what it didn't give us. It's paying interest on what we didn't get for Christmas. Or maybe it just feels like that because we haven't had a lot of snow this winter so far. And maybe this probably is like a light dusting to what we've been used to in the past. It's just all, now that it's here, it sucks. And I hate snow. The cold, I hate too. But I can handle the cold. It's the moving through it's having to deal with the snow that sucks. Shoveling, walking in it like snow getting in your shoes. I don't mind a little bit, but when it's excessive, when it's like, you step down in it and it's up to your ankle, okay, let's settle down here for a minute. And forget about driving in it. Because everybody else seems to. Everybody else seems to forget. We were just doing this 7 months ago, and it just went out of your brain like that. And that goes two ways. Normally, I'm the guy that's like, slow down, just slow down, brake well before your stop, just take it easy. If it takes you 10 extra minutes to get to where you're going and get there safe, great. But there's also a level of, hey, these roads aren't that slick. You can tell within the first, couple blocks of driving how slick the roads are going to be. Yes, there might be snow on the ground, but you can, if it's melted off and it's not that cold out, it's not frozen, then you get people who are still driving 20 miles into 35, and I'm like, you can go you don't gotta go a full 35. I get your trepidation, I get your hesitancy, but you could go at least 28. Let's move it along here. So, very, very rarely do I get that way. I would prefer you drive slow and be safe, blah, blah, blah. It is the better option. But, just have a little bit self-awareness of it's not that slippery right this very second. Now, if it is, obviously, yes, please. And for all the people out there with four-wheel drive, all these big trucks that think they can just haul ass, settle down. Nobody's impressed that you're flying down the street. You're just as susceptible as to slight. Four wheels don't do shit on ice. Okay? So, settle down as well. That shit annoys me too. I got a four-wheel drive truck. I just drive as cautiously as possible, and I'm still aware of what's going on. That's the biggest problem. It's not always you that you need to be worried about. It's everybody else. You don't know how everybody else is driving. You don't know what kind of tires they're using. You don't know what kind of vehicles or if maybe it's their first time ever driving in snow. Think about that before you start just blazing down the street. And you might be fucking somebody else over and scaring somebody else off the road. So, that's my icy road PSA for the day. Anybody hear about this? Apparently there's a big Arctic storm, an ice storm, getting ready to hit the Midwest. Or is it the middle? It's like Indiana, Illinois, Ohio area, and then kind of in that Kentucky area, Tennessee a little bit. It's in that region of the states. big ice storm, and apparently it's going to be like crazy. That's what they're saying. I don't know nothing about it. What is an ice storm? Does it just mean like rapid temperature drop? Or does it mean fucking chunks of ice are going to fall out of the sky? Because that's deadly too. They're saying it's going to be like devastatingly deadly. Is it just massive temperature drop in like a snap where, you know, pipes freeze and it's hard to travel, and if you're outside you're susceptible to hypothermia? Is that what it is? Or is it like literal chunks of ice are going to be falling from the sky and bludgeoning people? Explain to me. I'm assuming it's the first one. Either way, be safe out there. I doubt I have any listeners in that area, but be safe if you are in that area. If you know people in the area, please, keep tabs on them and make sure that everything's going to be all right. And hopefully, hoping for the best for everybody. Stay warm out there. Staying warm right here with my cup of coffee. 'Cause, hey, new year. New year, new me, as they say. And I'm sticking to my New Year's resolution. Exactly what I told you guys. Haven't drank since New Year's Eve. Now, I will say, New Year's Eve, your boy got pretty fucked up. Like, not, I've been worse. Let's just say that. I have been worse. But I was pretty jazzed up. Started, I went out early, stayed late, ball dropped, and I kept on staying out. It was a good night. New Year's Eve, hung out at Hooligans for a little bit, then went over to the Crystal and watched the ball drop there. Now let me tell you, I got a couple stories for you on this one. First of all, I'm singing it's kind of slow at first, It usually doesn't get too busy till about 10:30, 11 on New Year's. Like, busy. And they started doing karaoke at 9. So I sang a couple songs. I knew I wasn't going to get to sing a lot. So I was just like, let me do them early. I go up and sing. One of the bartenders told this gal that I was in a band. So she comes up to me. And when I say gal, I mean 45 to 55. Somewhere in, like, undiscernible how, she could have been anywhere in that range. But older. She comes up to me. She's like, oh, so I hear you're in a band. I was like, yeah, and we're having a little small talk about it. Just conversation. Seems super nice. But then, when you can tell when you're talking to somebody at a bar or you're talking to a stranger and the conversation's going just a little bit too long and you're like, okay, time to for this to be done. The story between us is over. Like, I appreciate you coming over and acknowledging me and having a nice conversation and talking. But in a certain settings, it's like, okay, this time is over. I'm going to go back to what I'm doing, and you go ahead and go back to what you're doing. That time never came. She just continued to talk and talk and talk. And I'm a nice enough guy that I'm not going to be rude and say, if anything, I guess I'll be like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. And then I'll try and disappear for like 10 minutes until she's like moved on to do her thing. Then I'll go back and try and just blend back into the crowd. That's like the worst I'll do, just to like try and avoid somebody. But then she's like, oh, will you sing a song with me and blah, blah, blah. And she puts a song in and I go up and I'm like, hey, take that shit out. Like, I'm not singing nothing with this lady. Anyway, as the night's going on and on and on, she's popping back up in like talking to me as throughout the night. There's nights where I'm not around her. Like I said, I was like just avoiding her basically. And then there's times when she's back, she finds her way back to me. At one point, I go to the bathroom and I come back and the bartender says to me, hey, I think your mom's here. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, she's in the casino. She's wearing like a green mask. I was like, no. You must have this confused. My mom would not be out this late. And she's not really like a New Year's type of person. So of course I have to go investigate. And part of me is thinking it's this lady saying that she's my mom or something like that. I pop into the casino. Sure as shit, there's my mom. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, of all places you're at, the place I go to I'm sure she went there because she thought I might be there. And I'm like, and she's wearing a green, like, Mardi Gras style mask. I was like, what are you doing? But anyway, it was a shock. It was surprising. It was great. And I got to spend New Year's with my mom. I did not think that was going to happen. So, we're standing there. We got champagne in hand. Getting ready to do the ball is getting ready to drop. We're about 1 minute before ball drop. I'm like, cool, I get to ring in the new year with my mother. And this lady comes back and is like, so are you going to give me a New Year's kiss? And I'm not going to lie, I feel really bad for what I did, which was this. Like, I couldn't have looked more disgusted. And I feel really bad because that's not what I meant. And she just, like, turned and walked away. I'm like, okay, first of all, you didn't get the hint before that I just was ready to, like, not interact with you anymore. You didn't get that hint. Also, I'm standing here with my mother, who you don't look too far off her age of. You look like you could have went to high school together. You know what I'm saying? Like, huh? No, that ain't happening. So I felt bad for the look. But either way, it was great. Celebrated with Mom. Mom went home, like, pretty much shortly after that. Then I stupidly stayed out till close. But you know what? It was my last hurrah. I was like, I'm not going to be doing this for a while. Might as well go hard and go home. And right off the bat, the next day, I fully committed to the no drinking. And we're only 4 days in so far. So I'm not, like, patting myself on the back just yet. I'm not, like, shouting from the rooftops. But I'm here to tell you this. I feel great. Not physically, you know, that part hasn't probably kicked in as much. I'll tell you this, it's physically been great to be able to go out, like I've still gone out, and come home, go to bed, sleep through the night, wake up in the morning, and be ready to go. I'm not just laying in. This is what happens, okay? For me, lately at least, you know, I'm getting older. I'm in my 30s now. If I'm going out, hell, if I stay till midnight, okay? We're not even talking closing the bars down. If I stay out till midnight, if I've had a few sodas, you know, a few adult bevs, and we're talking shots, we're talking, you know, but I'm not even talking about to the point of, like, stumbling, slurring, you know, I'm not, like, belligerently drunk. If you've ever drank, you know that point when it's like you're beyond buzzed, but you're not quite like, you know, you're still functioning, but it's wobbly. If I'm ever to that point, hell, even if I get to the buzzed stage at this point, in the mornings, I wake up and I just don't want to do anything. I just want to lay in bed all day and just be a piece of shit, basically. I have no productivity, no motivation, none of that. So that has been nice because I've gone out a couple times since New Year's and I drank NA beers. I'll get to NA beers in just a second. I want to get through this point first. Or just drank water, you know, or just, and I can still function. Like, I'm able to hang, but I'm able to I'm able to just feel fine at the end of the night. Like, it's full sobriety. It feels great. And honestly, the best part is the mental clarity. I do feel a little bit of it physically, like in the mornings, as I've said. I went out last night. I sprung right out of bed today. I wasn't laying around. I wasn't like watching TV and like just feeling like shit. No, I scrolled my phone a little bit and then I was like, okay, time to get up and do the podcast. Productivity. I feel motivation. But a lot of it's all mental. And here's my biggest part. This is where we're going to step into the NA beer thing. I'm slow rolling it a little bit because I'm substituting beer with like a mock beer basically, because my addiction isn't to alcohol. Okay? Whatever you might think. I don't crave alcohol. I'm not sitting here like, God, I need a drink. It's not like buzzing in my head that I can't wait to go out so that I can drink. My addiction is to the hang. My addiction is to going out and watching a football game with a group of guys or singing karaoke with friends. That is what I'm addicted to. I like the social interaction. However, what comes along with that, not necessarily because it needs to, it's because it's become a habit, right? Is having a beer and holding a bottle and putting it to your lips. That has become part of the habit of hanging out. So, by substituting that with the NA beer, you're getting the taste. It's not, the taste isn't really part of it. It's more it's like a smoker, They say when you're smoking, part of it's just the habit of holding something in your hand and putting it to your lips. That's similar to what I'm doing with the NA beer. Now, granted, the taste helps that it's like kind of tricking my brain into thinking, oh, I'm drinking a beer. But it's more just the habit of doing that, or like what do they call it? I don't know, whatever. It's a habit, and so that has been very helpful in all this. And the reason for that is it's not because it's helpful in the fact that it's keeping me away from drinking. It's helpful in the fact that it's made me like, because, okay, one of my mental blocks when it comes to drinking, going out and drinking, because I've said this before and I will state this all the time. I never just come home and have a beer. Like, I'll sit here on the podcast and have a beer. It's mostly just for show, honestly. But I'm never just, like, alone drinking. And I'm not, I guess never is the wrong term, okay? I've done it before. But it's not like I get off work and I have to have a beer. It's not like I sit around and watch a movie and have a beer here. Even when I watch sports at home by myself, I never just have a beer. There's barely ever beer in my fridge. And so the beer part comes from the social side of it. So I attribute drinking with socializing, with going out and hanging out with people. And I like hanging out with people. I like socializing. So when I think about not drinking, I think, oh, I can't hang out with people. Like, that means I guess I can't go out anymore because I won't be able to hang out with people and it's not like I'm thinking I can't hang out and not drink. Another side of it too is I feel there's a part of me that I'm thinking the bartenders and the servers are going to be mad at me because I'm not spending the money that I am used to spending by having, multiple drinks. That part creeps into my head a little bit too. So the NA thing does help with easing that. I feel like I can still go out and stay sober, and everything else is still like fine. And that is clearly mental illness in front of you. Like me just like struggling with this idea of like, I can't drink because I'm going to upset people around me. And of course that's not true. I know that's not true. But I can't help but unblock that. So the NA beer thing is kind of like a stepping stone towards just like, because I know the NA thing isn't great either, because you're still drinking and you're still putting carbs, although and it's lower calorie, which is nice too. I'll tell you what, huge shout out to the Michelob Ultra Zeros. It's 0.0, zero alcohol, because some of these NA beers are like 0.005 or something like that. But the Michelob Ultra ones are 0.0, and I think the Heineken ones are too. Like absolute zero. And they both taste really like a beer. Shout out to both of those. Those are the ones I've been drinking, and they're great. Like they do the job. Hey, new year, new beer, right? That's, for me at least, new year, new beer. And I've even thought about this, because I like, I'm still gonna, like, I'm eventually gonna go back and drink again. That's not, because I'm not concerned about it that way. But I'm thinking I might, like, it might not be a bad idea to, like, cut, if I'm out drinking, have a Coors Light, and then have an NA afterwards. Like, switch them back and forth, because then you're prolongating the drunkenness, right? And I'm hoping by the time that January is over, hey, I might just keep drinking the NA beers. That might just be literally my new beer from now on. And I might just extend it as long as I can. But if not, I'm hoping by the end of this month I will feel great enough and have the most mental clarity I've had in a long time, where I'm like, yeah, see, I don't have to drink all the time. And maybe the first time I get drunk after this, I'll be like, what the fuck am I doing? I felt so good. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm not gonna, like, if I'm gonna drink, it's gonna be on special occasions or, once a month kind of a thing. So we'll see. This is gonna be a journey. It's a long haul, but I'm sticking to this month for sure. And that's the best part. Like I said, I'm only 4 days in, but I have I don't feel concerned whatsoever that I'm going to slip up. For real. I'm dead serious. I have no internal concerns of slipping up. Before, when I've done Sober October, or when I've done like sober stints, I've had a little bit of dread, a little bit of that dread where it's like, oh, I'm so afraid I'm going to slip up. Like one night I'm going to like crave it, or I'm going to like just decide, fuck it, kind of a thing. I'm just going to be like, fuck it. I'll do a shot with you, or, I was afraid of that. No concerns whatsoever this time around. Thanks to the NA beers. That really put some ease into my mind. And so shout out to that. New year, new beer. Now, another thing that I decided to abstain from, at least for the month of January, I'm just gonna go side by side with the no drinking, and in addition, no porno. And yeah, I know that's probably a weird thing to say, and but it's a real thing. And I think that's a real mental drag as well. I think that really clogs the mind. I'm really looking for mental clarity here. That's what I want. I'm abstaining from the booze, because that obviously is a mental, it alternates the mental state, like physically. Pornography alternates the mind differently. It's a very deep-seated clouding of the mind. And multiple reasons for this. One, it's a shameful thing, like you watch porn, you feel like you get that dopamine rush, you jerk off, and then immediately you're like filled with like a shame. Like I've done something, and I know there's probably something to that too. But either way, I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. That's one aspect of this. Two, it becomes ritualistic. That's the word I was looking for earlier, by the way, with the beer in the hand was ritualistic. But it does. It becomes ritualistic in a way where it's like, oh, I'm getting ready for bed. Better watch a porno and jerk off. That's weird. Like it feels it's a weird feeling, and it's like I don't want this to be part of my nightly routine, I think I'm going to abstain from freaking masturbation too, because it's I guess, it's good to build up that what do they call it? Is it like a testosterone thing? I don't know. I've heard it's good to just like abstain from that as well. And so I'm honestly 4 years off of both of those things, or 4 years. God, if only 4 days. But there is a third aspect to the no porno thing, which is that so last year, in the year 2024, was a pretty like not what's the word I'm looking for? Optimal. It wasn't an optimal year, or it wasn't a what I would consider to be, I guess optimal is the word, I suppose. It wasn't what I wanted for myself. As far as relationships, as far as human connection, sexually, intimately, emotionally, physically, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to, all of that. It wasn't, it was a pretty, like, tumultuous year for that. I was shamed in that. I felt shame for all that. And I think porn is a part of that. I think porn definitely, like, it's a stimulant, and eventually, I don't know. It's I'm sitting here trying to talk like I'm some fucking psych major or something like that. I'm just telling you what from personal experience here, and I just think that desire for whether it's sex or intimacy of any kind, the constant desire for that isn't a good thing either. And so I'm trying to do what I can to abstain from that. I'm trying to like just do my own thing, because I would eventually like to build a real connection with somebody that's beyond physical. I would like to build something really intimate and like meaningful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had plenty of friendships with girls and stuff like that. Like, it's not like I can't have a meaningful connection that's non-physical. I've been able to do that. But I want to be able to do that in a full package type thing. I want to be able to have a real relationship at some point in my life. I think that's important. And constantly chasing tail or constantly, involving yourself in sexual entanglements is not, it's not healthy mentally at all. So, and I've deleted all my fucking dating apps. Those have been gone for months. I deleted that shit months ago. And honestly, another great feeling is I have had no desire to re-download them at all. Not once since the day I deleted them. And there's a little bit of a positive message I can send out there for at least guys, because I can only speak from the guy's perspective. Delete that shit. It's not worth it. Delete those fucking apps. They're not worth it, because I mean, I guess if you're actually trying to pursue something serious, then maybe. But if you're going to do that, don't do Tinder, okay? Do like an eHarmony, or like, I don't know if Hinge is any better. I've never done Hinge. But all I know about Tinder is it's all physical based. You know how many times you read a bio and you're like, that's the person for me? No, you're looking at pictures and you're like, are they fuckable or not? That's basically what you're saying. Like, am I attracted to this person enough that I would fuck them? So that's the first thing that comes to your mind is a physical interaction. And that's not healthy. Get rid of that shit. If you want to actually meet somebody, go out and meet people. Like, it's better to meet people in person and to have a connection like that, because now you're building an actual connection. You're speaking to somebody. You're getting a vibe. You're getting energy from somebody. That's important. You're not getting that over a phone. You're not getting that through messaging. You don't really know who a person is until you meet them, until you feel their energy, and you can like really get a sense of who they are. And yes, when you meet people in person, of course, you make a physical assessment, but you're not just doing that. You're being overloaded with a lot of different senses about a person when you meet them face to face. So that's just a word of advice for any guys out there listening. Hey, and you know what? It's a word of advice for the ladies too. Get off that shit, because honestly, I'm sure isn't that the majority of what people are doing on there anyways, just trying to fucking hook up? I know there's the outliers of people that are actually looking for relationships. I just don't think that that's the healthiest way to do it. You know what I mean? Meet people in person. Go to church. Go to fucking the bars. I guess that's not a great place to meet people, you know. Go to community events. Go to a concert. You know, things like that. I don't know. That's just a little bit of a word of advice from somebody who has struggled with that. And that's another thing too with the Tinder thing for me, is it almost becomes like an addiction in itself. And it's just like a self-gratifying thing where it's like, oh, that person who I found attractive matched with me, they must find me attractive. You know what I mean? It's like this self-gratifying thing of approval. It's like you're gaining approval, even if I never talk to that person. It's like somebody out at the bar saying, hey, you look very nice today, whether it's a guy or a girl. It's like a human being saying, hey, you're looking good today. Hey, I like what, you know, nice outfit. Nice. I like your smile. You know, you got very pretty eyes. That's just a self-approval type of thing that makes you feel good. And that's something else that I found with Tinder, that it's like, it just was becoming very unhealthy. So that's my advice, man. Just get off that shit. It's bad juju. It's bad stuff. And yeah, that's just something else I'm trying to work on, is trying to build real relationships. And the first thing I got to do is just no porn, no Tinder, none of that shit. And you know what else is fucking sucky? So I'm sitting here I've already decided, you know, I'm 3 days in on the no porn thing. Actually, no, I think I was like a day in. I think the day I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore for the month, at least. And like I said, hopefully, they say, what is it? Is it 30 days or 40 days? After 30 days or 40 days of breaking a habit, that's how you break a habit? Isn't that the case? I don't remember. You'd have to look that up. I've heard that somewhere. But I was, the day I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do that too. I'm going to do the no porno. I'm sitting there scrolling through Instagram, and there's a chick with big old titties, and I'm like, oh shit, let's check her profile out. And I'm scrolling, I'm like, what? No. God, I just told myself I wasn't going to do this. But it's everywhere, bro. Like, you can't escape it. I'm sitting here trying to watch funny videos on Tinder. Or Tinder. I said Tinder too many times. I'm trying to watch funny videos on Instagram. And here's tits. Like, might just have to delete Instagram, too, if I want to abstain from this shit. Because it's all over the place. Anyway, so those are some New Year's resolutions for me. Sticking to it. Going 4 days strong so far. I'm hoping that it all works out. Here's to mental clarity. That's all I got to say. Here is to clearing the mind and finding motivation again. That is what it is. And honestly, that's another thing. The drinking, that was a bad, like, it all kind of was a combination of things. Because I would drink, and then I'd get horny. So it's either porno or trying to hit up chicks. So they just were bad for, it's a double negative. So I removed one and the other. Mental clarity. Clearing of the mind. We're focused. We're positive. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Moving on. This will help clear the mind a little bit. We brought in the New Year's with a couple of terrorist attacks. Obviously, you know about the one in New Orleans. This guy was a U.S. citizen, a military veteran, and was converted to ISIS. He was a defector to ISIS and decided on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, I suppose. Technically, it was New Year's Day. He drove down Bourbon Street, running people over with a truck, and then got out of his truck and started shooting at everybody. Like, legit terrorist attack. And then you have, this is a lesser known one, I think. Not as many people are talking about this one. On the same day, a Tesla truck drives up to Trump Tower in Las Vegas and explodes. Now, it was fireworks, so of course people are like, well, it must have been an accident, right? Like, it was just a firework explosion. Dude, you can't tell me that's not too much of a coincidence where it's a Tesla truck, Elon Musk's company, in front of Trump Tower and exploding. I mean, I heard a really, really interesting take on this where it's like, Tesla trucks can drive themselves. So whoever committed this, they say there's a body, that there was a body in the vehicle. Could have already been a deceased body. I mean, it's exploding in flame. It's hard to tell if it was a previously deceased body. Tesla trucks drive themselves. So whoever did this could still be out there. You know what I mean? And there's other, like, things that indicate that is the case. So that was a really, fucked up way to bring in the new year, if you ask me. After both of those, I was like, well, where's the next one? Because it's happening. Like, they decided right now is the time to start attacking, and I figured there was going to be attacks all over the United States in big areas. Thankfully, that was not the case. But speaking of Instagram, dude, I saw something interesting last night. I found something interesting. And this is why I say it's all going to be okay. Like, don't dread about the things that could be happening or, are out of your control. because I'm sitting there last night on Instagram. I got home early. I was out with my friends, and that was another great thing is I just didn't feel like staying out late because I wasn't drinking. I was like, I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I had a clear state of mind of being like, there's no need for me to stay out later than this. Let me go home, go to bed, and I'll get up and feel good in the morning. Of course, I'm not used to going to bed that early, so I stayed up till about midnight. And I'm sitting in bed, I'm scrolling Instagram, and I was noticing a weird thing. My Instagram algorithm is normally comedy clips from either, stand-up or podcasts. Obviously, tits are in there because I need to wean that shit out, is what I need to do. I just need to, find other shit to, get rid of that. It's a lot of motivational speaking in there, some political stuff, and then sports, That pretty much sums up the majority of my Instagram algorithm. Well, last night, it's 11 o'clock, midnight-ish, I'm scrolling, and every other thing is negative. It's like they were talking about the drones. They're talking about, China. They're talking about, I saw something about the US potentially annexing Canada, which seems crazy to me. Or and then they're talking about global domination where, now that Trump's in power, the US is going to take over Canada and Greenland while China takes over Thailand. Or is it Thailand? Or is it I think it's Thailand, right? Is that or Taiwan? Taiwan. And Russia's going to take over Ukraine, and it's going to be this big world expansion, and we're going to become a one world government. I'm seeing stuff about a strange fog in the northeast, and they're saying it smells like chemicals, and they're saying, so it's all doom and gloom shit, right? It's all really negative doom and gloom. Or, I saw somewhere it was fighting, people not like UFC fighting, people fighting in a store, or it's all negative. It was a lot of negative shit. I'm like, this is not my algorithm. I don't, it pops up every now and again, but it's not this consistent, right? So I was thinking about it. Because I woke up this morning and I was scrolling, and it was back to the normal. It was back to football, motivational stuff, comedy. It was back to my normal algorithm. So why, late at night, was it giving me dark, negative shit? As opposed to daytime, it's never that much. Is it purposefully feeding me negativity before I'm trying to go to bed? So that I'm filled with dread and or maybe it's to make it so I can't sleep well because now my mind's racing because I'm thinking of all this dreadful stuff that's happening out in the world. Why all of a sudden at night is my algorithm feeding me bad, negative stuff, but then in the daytime, everything's happy-go-lucky? I was seeing shit that I would never see. Somebody getting ran over by a train. Or, I'm like, that's not stuff that pops into my algorithm. It's whatever it is, it's negative stuff. So I found that really, really weird. And I'm like, there might be something to that. And that's why I woke up this morning and I wanted to send that positive message. It's don't let that shit come into your brain and try and bring you down. Because so much of that shit is fake, and the other half of that shit is it's not within your control to try and be afraid of or try and dread. Now, yes, if some of that shit were to happen, now it's something to be concerned about. And now it's time to handle it. But just because it's on your phone doesn't mean that it's happening. Just because people are saying, well, this could happen and this could happen and what if, doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now, if it does, okay, now maybe it's time to concern. But don't be afraid and fearful of what could happen. There's no need for that. We don't live life by what ifs. You got to live your life by what you know and your pursuit, not what you think might happen that is out of your control anyway. So that's why I wanted to start off with that message this morning anyway. Yeah, that was an interesting thing last night, was discovering that. Because I was just like, I'm sitting here like, Jesus, like, this is so, like, depressing. And it was kind of keeping me up. Because I'm like, golly, like, what the hell is going on in this world? It was feeding me that. Instagram was feeding me that. To make me feel dreadful. That's fucked up. And there's no need to fear about that shit. It's make-believe until it's like, until whatever actually happens. All that shit is just theoretical. Try to drink my water with my lid on. A couple other things before we get out of here. Jimmy Carter passed away. R.I.P. to Jimmy Carter, 100 years old. That has to be the oldest living president, right? Like the oldest is. He has to be the oldest guy to have been a president and to live past his presidency. Obviously, that's crazy. And think about all the presidents that came after him. He has to have also been he has to have seen more presidents post his presidency. Because let's see. Reagan succeeded him. Reagan was his successor. And then after Reagan, was it Bush? Was it Herbert Walker Bush? Am I right about that? Or was Gerald Ford in there? Was Gerald Ford before or after Carter? I don't remember now. I do know H. Bush was after Carter. So was W. Bush, Clinton, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. That's already 8. Well, I mean, I guess we'll say 7 because Trump doesn't really, he was president either way. Crazy. And then they were talking about how they were showing a picture of him like saying he was so excited to vote for Kamala Harris, and he looks like a corpse. It's like, yeah, he's pretty excited, all right. Jesus. And obviously, God, could you imagine that being your last act as a human being? Was voting for Kamala, her losing, and then you die? Damn. But no, shout out to Jimmy Carter. I mean, wasn't the best president. Had a pretty, stale presidency, but a great guy afterwards, Habitat for Humanity, building homes, and just a humanitarian. So I give him credit for that. I did hear that during his time as a politician, super cutthroat. Super not what you would expect. He has this nice guy, country bumpkin type persona, but behind the curtain, he's kind of a cutthroat guy, which makes sense. You don't become president by being just Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. So that was kind of funny to find that out. But yeah, also, hey, Jimmy Carter, he was in an episode of King of the Hill, so I gotta respect that. Hell yeah. But yeah, so yeah, R.I.P. to a president, to a former president of the United States. Still respect the fact that he was president, even though it wasn't a great presidency. Still respect the fact. Last bit of business here. We're going to talk football. First off, college football. Hey, crazy semifinals, I should say, of college football. Not a single team that had the bye week going into the semifinals won. All the teams with bye weeks lost. That's fucking wild. That says a lot. Now, granted, two of those teams were definitely not considered to be top tier, like top 10, I would say. Boise State and Arizona State. They were kind of like the redheaded stepchild of this college playoffs when it comes to the rest of the... But, hey, huge credit to Arizona State and Cam Skattebo. Dude, I was rooting for them. I was pulling for them so hard. They showed that they deserved to be in the playoffs, for sure. They should have won that game, to be honest. And I was hoping they would. Nothing against Texas. I don't mind Texas. That was just a great performance, and I appreciate a great performance. Ohio State absolutely obliterates Oregon. Didn't see that coming. I'm not shocked that they won. I think Ohio State's a fine team. So I'm not shocked they won. But in the fashion that they won in, the fact that Oregon did not come in prepared at all, or like they looked like they didn't. They looked flat and just got stomped. Very surprising. And then Notre Dame beats Georgia. A huge upset. I don't think anybody expected that. Notre Dame's a great team too, but Georgia is an SEC powerhouse. Excuse me, sorry. And breaking news, big news here on the Life's a Garden podcast. I am officially declaring myself a Notre Dame fan. I've never had a true FBS team. I'm a Montana Grizz fan through and through my whole life. So I've had my FCS team. I have never had an FBS team. I've always liked Oregon. I've always liked Tennessee and Texas, and TCU was a team I always kind of liked. There's a lot of teams out there that I'm like, I can pull for them. I like them. They're fun. And another one of those teams that's always been in that list is Notre Dame. Fighting Irish. I mean, how could I root against a team called the Fighting Irish? They've always been there, and they're consistently pretty decent. You know, they're always in the conversation at least. So at least if I'm going to pick a team, I'm going to pick a team that's kind of good. And I'm choosing them now so I don't look like a bandwagoner if they were to make it to the championship. So I'm stating that right now. I am officially declaring myself a Notre Dame fan. And it's great too, because I just found out my Uncle Mike is also an Irish fan. And my Uncle John. So it's in the family. It's not like I'm really bandwagoning because they've already been a team I've rooted for. I'm just officially... It's nice to have a team, to have a solid team that you can pull for. Everybody else does, and I think it's time that I did too. I tried to stick with Colorado, but I want a team that I can actually like, you know, that I can be excited about. How about that? Like, I'll still root for other teams and be like, hey, that's a fun game to watch, you know. But Notre Dame's my horse now. And it has to be. The Fighting Irish, man. So, brand new Irish fan in the crew. Also, I would be remiss to say that Shane Gillis might have had a little something to do with that as well. So, shout out Gilly. Last thing I'll say, This is going to come out afterwards. But the Denver Broncos, okay? Right there. Denver Broncos. All they got to do is beat the Chiefs, and we're in the playoffs for the first time. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing their backups. They're resting all of their star players. If we cannot beat the Kansas City Chiefs at home against their backups, it will be the most disgraceful loss in our team history, in my opinion. It will be the absolute most disgraceful thing we've done. And I'm going to be honest with you. If we lose to my least favorite team at home against their backups, I might start drinking again. This whole dry January thing might be over real fucking fast. So let's hope the Broncos fucking pull it off. Because I don't know if I'll be able to show my face in public if we lose this game. Just putting that out there. And you'll know about it once this comes out. We have to win. We got to win this game. So, and here's another thing. I don't give a fuck if I'm hooting and hollering because we made the playoffs by beating a backup team. If we win this game and I'm sitting here cheering, thank God we made the playoffs. Fuck yeah. And we beat the Chiefs. I don't care that it was against backups. Don't even try and come at me with that shit. I don't care. I'm just excited to be in the playoffs, and anytime we beat the Chiefs, I'm excited for it. So, don't try and give me any shit about that either. Anyway, hopefully we just win the game and I don't have to start drinking again. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Much appreciated. Again, if you would please, subscribe and follow. Share with your friends. I hope this was a meaningful and motivational message or episode for you guys. Mental clarity. It's huge. Whatever you can do to clear your mind. It truly is a huge relief. And it just opens you up to so much other things. So many other things. And just don't worry about the things you can't control. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Because life's a garden. Dig it. Just gotta keep on